Today we're going to review Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 97, and let me tell you, this one actually makes last chapter like if it was nothing. This one's amazing. Anyways, this is Jason from ActionSaiyanGamer here to literally do the review for the manga that came out recently, and yes, it is really a good chapter. It really feels like if it was part of the anime. It really brings out more of the fight that I think a lot of us would have loved to see, but I understand because of shortness, and it's not a TV show, and it's a movie, and it has to be a certain amount of time. I understand that. They really made sure to emphasize it in this story. And like I said at the end of the last chapter, for the last review, I really did not like the whole Saiyaman X1 and 2 coming back, and sure enough, I think the reaction that Piccolo had was literally how I felt last chapter. It was literally at that point where I'm like, yep, they definitely understand how I feel. 100%. But because, like I said, with Gohan revealing himself in the DBZ when he was wearing the suit, they kind of did that in this chapter too. They literally took off I don't know if they took off their helmets, but in the chapter, yes, they got hurt, and sure enough, it came off. It was really nice to see Goten as Super Saiyan, and same with Trunks, but mostly Goten. We never saw him go Super Saiyan. We seen him when he was younger, but I mean, like, as Teen Gohan, we never saw that in DBZ. So it's really cool to see Teen Gohan, Goten, I should say, Team Goten doing Super Saiyan. So that was really cool. I think that's really awesome. But anyways, pretty much as the story goes, yes, we continue off where they did that, then they start fighting, and then sure enough, Gen 1 and 2 were like, oh, they look like us. What is this? And then one of them says, Hedo told us that we resemble them for some weird reason. So this whole time, it wasn't because of heroes or someone he was inspired by. It was Goten and Gohan. Never thought that would be a thing, but hey, who knew? But anyways, the fight goes on, and I love how they talk about how Cell Max is very slow in that, and I think we saw that mostly in the movie where he didn't do much and just a few hits and that. But this time they're like, he's brand new. He doesn't know how to use his body. And that makes sense, because if you look at like a baby, right, or like a kid growing up, like from a little toddler and that, you can tell like they're starting to get used to walking and stuff like that. So that's kind of the way I look at it with Cell Max when they mentioned that. It's like, that makes sense. He was just born literally not that long ago, and now he has to adjust to walk, fight, use his ki blast and everything. It was definitely interesting that they brought that up, and then sure enough, yes, he does start adapting, and then he becomes way more powerful. Because I was like, at first, the way the chapter was going, I was like, well, it looks like Goten and Trunks can just destroy this guy like it's nothing. And I'm like, well, that's great. Even though they said that Piccolo was the one that said that he is strong, way stronger than Goku and Vegeta put together. And I'm like, okay, well, if he's that strong and he's getting defeated by Goten and Trunks, there's an issue here. But I'm glad they brought that up. So, thank you for that, Toritaro. You're awesome for that. But anyways, as it continues on, then sure enough, yes, they do the fusion, and then that doesn't work out. Gohan and Piccolo, they're like, okay, we gotta get in this fight. We gotta fight now. You know, we can't just let them do it. So they get in there because they realize that they can't do the fight anymore. They're losing. After that point, that's when you see 18 and them showing up. Krillin stays, of course, with Bulma, like we see in the movies. The only thing I will say, though, is that they took out the big part of Pan learning to fly, and they made it where Krillin saved her instead. That part I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense because he's like there to protect them and just do what he can. But at the same time, it's like in the movie, they emphasize it like the whole flying aspect, and she learns by putting herself in danger to try to get out of that situation. But sure enough, Krillin took it. So for everybody who hates that, you can blame Krillin. Krillin took that opportunity from Pan. You're all welcome. And then sure enough, of course, by the end of it, we see them all literally behind like stones and that, being like, okay, well, we need to fight this dude. How are we going to do this? And sure enough, then we get to the part where one of them is about to sacrifice himself. And that is where the chapter ends, and it's not bad. We're getting close to the end. So like I said, this was definitely one of the chapters where I just felt I was more in it this time, and it just felt like an actual episode, like from the anime that you would watch, and it was just really good. Like, good pacing for the fights. It was just a lot more details. I don't know why. It just seemed really, really good, and it just worked out perfectly somehow. I don't know how to tell you, but it did a good job. So, good job, Torotaro, on making another great chapter. That's all I have to say. But other than that, I'll give a review of this. I'm going to give this an 8. 8 out of 10. It was a good chapter for this. So, I recommend it if anyone wants to read it. If you are not a big fan of the whole manga thing repeating itself with the whole movie, I do recommend this chapter. You'll probably like it, because it's a bit more fight, there's more details to it, and of course, yes, there has to be the corny joke. There's always got to be a corny joke. It's just that's how this show goes. There's one joke that has to happen somehow, and apparently it is Gotenks. And also X1 and X2 for Saiyan Man. But that fades away quick, so if you don't like that, you'll like the rest of the chapter either way. But other than that, guys, hope you guys watching. Hit like for more, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next videos, of course. Take care. Have a great day.